Welcome to Martini Time, the happy time of the day. It's been a beautiful day in Blackstone, the center of the world, but then you too are the center of the world. Everyone is the center of the world, just like the cell phone is the center of the internet. This is a great metaphor or analogy for the guru or Christ principle that I've been talking about here lately, as I have been reawakening my old guru. You can see Muktananda there, right there. Took his picture up on the wall. And so I've been consciously or unconsciously re-energizing this old connection. You know, it happened back in the late 70s, 1980, and all through the 70s I was in a guru-disciple relationship, either with Swami Rama, my first guru who died 3 years after I met him, and Muktananda, who died not too many years after I met him. It seems like I'm a bad luck for gurus. So I've been talking about not shying away from talking about the guru principle, because it's not easy to talk about gurus in the West, because you say guru, somebody says, everybody says cult, or faker, or con man, or whatever, you know. And on the internet, anybody that's a guru, there's always going to be a trail of negativity following any guru, like a comet, like the tail on a comet. And so it's very difficult to talk about guru. But what basically guru means, remover of obstacles. So anything can be a guru if it removes obstacles. But when it comes to a siddha master, that would be a master yogi, they're few and far between. Indian culture, Hindu culture, has its whole lifelong history has been the cultivation of these masters, these pre-literate, pre-civilization beings who never got enculturated into civilization, and they always lived outside of society, in the woods, on a trash dump, as wandering sadhus. We'd call them homeless. You see. So anyway, it's difficult to talk about gurus in the West. Although, if you go on the internet now, there's Eckhart Tolle, there's Moji, whatever. There's a whole lot of master teachers, streaming teaching that you can follow and you can get in sync with, and it's all here. It's amazing. That's why I really think that this age we're in right now is a transformational age, because all of the knowledge of humanity, all the knowledge of different cultures, is all in one brain now. It's called the internet. And all you need to access all this knowledge is one of these. It's amazing, you see, how much is available in this brain we have created. And the whole thing is kind of like a mirror reflection of our own brain and our own creative life. You see, this is what what makes our technology so captivating, is that it is a reflection of our true nature. But you see, technology is a double-edged sword. It gives us power, but it hollows out our true power. So the more power we invest into technology, the more empty we get, the more powerless we get, you see. And so a guru Somebody like Swami Muktananda is somebody who he is personal power, and you feel it. He is personal power, and you know it, you see. So when you come into relationship with one of these people, either on the internet or in person, it's kind of like being up next to a power center. You get this power. But it's energizing the power in you. It's not in them. The power you feel is the resonance in you. So when you feel this resonant, this vibration with these teachings, when something resonates, you see, you should follow that. Joseph Campbell called that following your bliss. You see, is following the heart, following the subtle resonation of the heart, you see, instead of the big stress vibrations of the brain. See, our brain and our mind has been indoctrinated or hooked up to culture. So we're just like a little ship in a fleet of culture ships, you see. Wherever the culture goes, we go. That's why I love talking about my submarine days, because the submarine did not go with the fleet. It was alone, and it would go down deep, you see. So these spiritual masters are individuals who spent their whole life going deep. And there is a lineage of these masters that kind of like father-son, a teacher, guru, disciple. But a guru, you see, a true guru is not, is a function that the student is given by his teacher. So the master will have one student or two students that have reached the PhD level, and at that point they are just given the guru function. And so they go out and just automatically do guru, remove people's obstacles. That's just what they do. It's kind of like it becomes a divine function. So I suggest to you, that in order to activate the guru, also too, I've been saying and trying to, as I do these talks, to bring East and West together, so that the Christ principle and the Guru principle are really the same principles, only manifested in different cultures. And this is why it's so difficult to communicate this in our culture, because our conditioning is the symbolism of Christianity. Jesus, God, Mary, all these symbols. See, all of these. So when you have a relationship or an opening to the divine is going to appear to you in the symbols of your culture. It's not going to appear to you in the symbol of some African culture or Siberian culture or Tibetan culture. If you're in Tibet, the divine is going to appear to you in Tibetan symbols. So the divine, or the absolute, if you want to use that word, the universal, appears in the symbols of a particular culture or religion to the individuals that call upon it, whose heart yearns for it. So the Guru principle, or Christ principle, has to be activated by a yearning from the heart for your truth, for your fulfillment of your potential. What are you here for? Why am I here? Well, that answer can't be answered. It has to be lived. You have to do why you're here. You can't know it conceptually. You have to be it, you see. So here you have to be your truth. So all the thinking will not do any good. See, you have to be it. In order to be your truth, you have to give up thinking your truth. because you don't know, when you're being your truth, you don't know who you are. So that's the guru principle. You have to activate it. Now here's what I suggest, is that to activate the Christ principle or the guru principle, it's a function, it's a verb, it's not something. It's you. So in order to activate you as a true unfolding, you have to have the divine compulsion. That was the title of this talk. I just wrote it down. The divine compulsion. It means that you just have to do it. And the doing of it is going to be a curiosity to study. You resonate with teachings, a book, a reader, a writer, and you resonate with it, and you become curious. You read it, and there has to be a compulsion for stillness, for meditation, for solitude, for just dropping out, for getting out of the crowd, from getting out of the cocktail party of culture. Just getting to the back porch, just getting into nature. All right, so there's that compulsion to drop out, and meditation is really the ultimate form of that compulsion, is to meditate. So then, you're curious. You get there's so many books, God knows, on meditation, how to meditate. But the important part is to have a curiosity, a compulsion to do it. So there's a compulsion to study and a compulsion to meditate. And then there awakens a compulsion to be mindful. So the compulsion to be mindful is just I want to be aware of what my mind's doing. I want to be mindful of what my thinking is doing while it's doing it. You see. So that begins to develop this stillness that is aware of the mind's activity as you would be aware of a ripple in a pond. So the pond wants to be aware of the ripples on the surface. And so mindfulness and meditation brings the ripples of the pond to stillness, gradually, without effort, in its own time. And when the pond is still, it reflects reality perfectly. If you get a really still pond, pictures on the internet, you all see this, there's a lake or something, and you really can't tell the difference between the top and the bottom. The reflection is perfectly still and reflects the. So the mind begins to perfectly reflect reality, you see. One thought can cause a ripple. And if you watch a pond, I have a little Buddha pond, and if you look at it when it's still, reflects the sky and the trees, and one little ripple creates a fragmentation. It's like when your TV breaks up during a storm, your satellite, you see. One thought can create that breakup. And suddenly, the surface of the mind is fragmented, and there's little thoughts going everywhere, and you're reflecting this part, and you're reflecting that, you see. So when you get a wave like that, a ripple, you get the reflection of two worlds. And that's what culture is. Culture is a wave in the mind that reflects polarity. One side of the wave is reflecting Democrats, one side is reflecting Republicans. Everything is divided into two. Everything comes in twos in culture. And that's because culture is a wave in the mind. See? So how can you find stillness? How can you find your center when the mind's perception is constantly dividing reality? You see. And then even your idea of yourself is a reflection in the mind, is a thought in the mind. The I thought. See, even that, you see, is a wave in the mind. So that begins to still. So you really have to have this heartfelt compulsion to follow this path, And it's not easy because the culture is waves, and it says, don't be still, you idiot. What's the purpose in that? You got to flow with the culture. You got to be obsessed with the culture, with fixing the culture, with fixing yourself. You have to be obsessed with fixing yourself. Well, that's just a wave in your mind. Self-help is a wave. And it never really turns out very well if anybody tries to self-help themselves. You finally run out of gas. You finally get tired. Go have a martini. You see? So even, yoga, all these things that we try to fix ourselves run out of gas. Why? Because they are waves in time. A wave is going somewhere. If you watch a wave, it's going, and then it hits the edge of the pond. The little ponds are easy to watch because you can see a rip through a little pebble in the pond, and it goes whoop out, and then it hits the edge of the pond, and it comes back. And the waves, the little ripples that are going out, then meet the ripples coming back, and it goes blue all over, you see. And then finally it settles down. So it looks like this. There's the mind, you see. So I got to still the mind. Oh, I got to do more yoga. I got to still the mind, you see. I got to improve myself. I got to find God. Let me shake it up. Let me get there, you see. And that's kind of like what we do. So the divine compulsion, oh look, the mind's clearing. Oh look, when I stop doing anything, the mind begins to clear. When I stop waving the surface of the pond, trying to smooth it out, it gets clear. Isn't that interesting? So the mind's natural state is clarity. A pond's natural state is clarity unless something moves it. So to get to our natural clarity, which is the Guru and Christ principle, is to discover how to stop shaking the mind. See, we're all shaking the mind to get to something in the future, but time is the framework or the form of culture. Culture exists in time, past and future, you see. But the Guru, Christ principle, is timeless, you see. So you get time, and then you get the timeless. So that vertical thing is now. So all of these teachings, when you really understand what they're doing, is that they are getting you to let go of the effort to still the mind and bring about the clarity and the creativity of the Guru Christ principle, or being a verb. I guess I've been talking about this a lot, trying to frame it into grammar. My wife's an English teacher, and so we all know, how the importance of grammar and being correct and spelling things correctly, and how irritating it is when somebody mispronounces something or uses incorrect grammar. They're breaking the law, And so this whole idea of grammar is the way culture, the language, frames the way we perceive reality. So everything's a noun doing something to another noun. So I got to do something to myself in order to get to being enlightened or stress-free. So I, the noun, has to do something to me, the object, in order to get to be free from stress, which is ripples in the mind. So the divine compulsion reverses that. So the divine compulsion is a shift in which you begin to be interested in how you are disturbing your mind rather than what you can do to get to something that's better than who you are, you see. So everything shifts when you have the divine compulsion. You reverse everything. Instead of going in time towards the future, everything's reversed and starts coming back to now. You see the difference? And everything is going towards the future. It's like throwing rocks in the pond. And then when the shift happens, when the divine compulsion happens, everything begins to reverse. And it's like reversing the film, and it's like going this way, and then suddenly everything's going back to the beginning. So you're going back to the beginning, which is now. So now is always the beginning. You think the Big Bang is in the past. No, the Big Bang is now. Every moment is the Big Bang. We are the Big Bang, you see. Consciousness is the Big Bang. But we perceive it as being material, and then we want to get to our original source in time. So now I got to work and do stuff in time to get to the source, which is now, which is clarity. And that's the Guru, Christ principle. The principle of now, being totally, perfectly now. No matter what happens, you are now. There's only now. There's nothing else can be. It can't be anything other than now. So when you're in the presence of a master, that power of now captivates you. Because it's your power. It's your now. So you feel that people feel so at home when they're with the Guru or the master. It's because they're now. We all like to go on retreats. We leave our shoes at the gate and we go into the retreat and we feel so now. And then we leave and we come back and we're back in the pond and the ripples, you see. What happened? Well, we left the pond at the door. And when we left the retreat, we came back into our own mind. That's connected to culture. So it takes a lot of work, you see, to be free from the disturbance of culture and the TV and the stress and the Trumps and all of that. Doesn't mean you don't do anything about it. It just means that you can be free from the anxiety created by it. See, our culture right now is an anxiety-creating system. That's what it does. And if you invest in it and believe in it and identify with it, you're going to be anxious. Period. So there's a great incentive now with our anxiety-creating culture to find that anxiety-free space within. We should be running there in droves. We should be going there like lemmings, diving into the heart and find that space within that's free from anxiety and stress. Then we know what to do. So thanks for dropping in.